Every night, Watchman has a story he never tells during the day. Tonight, you're going to hear 4 of them. Real accounts, real men who guarded empty buildings, silent hallways, dark parking lots, and every single one of them swears something watched them back. Stay until the end. The 4th story is the one that still keeps investigators up at night. Night watchmen see things the rest of us never do. Empty malls at 3 a.m. Hospital basements with the lights turned off. Warehouses so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat. Most nights, nothing happens. But some nights, something does. And when it does, these men remember every detail for the rest of their lives. Our first story comes from a security guard named Robert, who worked the night shift at a furniture warehouse in Ohio. He'd done the job for 6 years. Nothing ever scared him. Until one October night, when the motion sensors in aisle 7 went off. 3 times, in a row, with no one else in the building. Robert walked down that aisle with his flashlight raised, heart pounding harder than he wanted to admit. The shelves were untouched. No broken boxes, no signs of an intruder. But the temperature had dropped. He could see his own breath, and that's when he heard it. A slow, deliberate footstep right behind him. He spun around. Nothing there. But the footsteps kept going, moving past him, down the aisle he'd just checked. Robert didn't chase it. He didn't even breathe. He backed out of that warehouse and sat in his car until sunrise. He quit 2 weeks later. But that wasn't the last strange night this story would give us. Robert's replacement, a younger guard named Danny, laughed off the warnings. "Old building, old pipes," he said. "Ghosts don't exist." His first week went fine. His second week, the same motion sensors triggered in aisle 7. Danny checked the footage. The camera showed the aisle completely empty, yet the sensor kept recording movement, over and over. Danny zoomed into the footage frame by frame. Nothing visible. But in one single frame, for less than 1/10 of a second, a shadow crossed the lens. Not a person's shadow. Taller. Wrong-shaped. He never went back to aisle 7 alone again. The warehouse eventually blocked off that section entirely. No one knows why. Our second story takes us to an office building in downtown Chicago. A guard named Marcus worked the graveyard shift on the 12th floor, an entire floor that had been vacant for over a year. Empty desks, dead phone lines, nothing that should move. But every night at exactly 2:14 a.m., an elevator on that floor opened by itself. Marcus checked the logs. No malfunction, no maintenance record, just an elevator opening on an empty floor at the exact same minute, night after night. He started timing his rounds around it, refusing to be near that hallway at 2:14. But one night, his radio broke down early, and he was standing right there when the doors slid open. The elevator was empty, completely empty. But the button panel was lit up, floor 12 pressed and glowing, as if someone had just gotten off. Marcus felt a cold gust of air move past him into the hallway, toward the abandoned offices. He didn't move for almost a full minute. Then he heard a door close, somewhere deep in the dark. Marcus requested a transfer the next morning. Management refused, saying there was no one else to cover the shift. He worked 3 more weeks on that floor, and on his final night, he found something in one of the abandoned offices that no one could explain. A single desk, dust-free, with a nameplate that read a name no employee record could match. The building had operated in that space for over 40 years, through several companies, several owners. HR had no record of anyone by that name ever working there. Marcus photographed the nameplate before he left. When he tried to show it to his supervisor the next day, the desk had been cleared out completely. The nameplate was gone. Our third story is different. This one didn't happen in a building at all. It happened in a parking structure outside a hospital in Texas, where a guard named Elena patrolled the lower levels alone each night. The hospital had a policy: never go below level 2 after midnight. Elena never knew why, until she found out herself. One night, an alarm triggered on level 1, The lowest floor, the one guards were told to avoid. Elena had no choice. She had to check it. She took the stairwell down, flashlight shaking slightly in her hand, telling herself it was just a system glitch. The air down there felt heavier, wrong, like the building itself was holding its breath. The alarm had been triggered by a door at the far end of the level, a door marked as permanently sealed, welded shut years earlier according to hospital records. It was standing open, just a few inches, and from inside she heard something that sounded almost like breathing, slow and uneven, coming from a space that should have had no air supply at all. Elena didn't investigate further. She radioed for backup, and by the time 2 other guards arrived, the door was shut again, sealed, just like before, as if it had never opened. The hospital's maintenance team confirmed the welding was intact, untouched. No explanation was ever given. Elena requested never to patrol level 1 again, and management agreed without asking why. Years later, an old hospital record surfaced. Level 1 had once housed a section that was closed after a tragic accident in the 1970s. Details were vague, buried in paperwork nobody wanted to revisit, but one line stood out. The area had never officially reopened, which meant that door should never have existed in the first place. Our final story is the one investigators still talk about. A guard named James worked security at a rural storage facility, rows of metal units stretching across acres of empty land. Quiet work, usually. Until residents nearby began reporting strange lights flickering deep inside the property, in a section of units that had been empty for years. James checked the section personally. Unit 114 had its light on, a bulb that, according to records, had been disconnected from power over a decade ago. He approached slowly, calling out, assuming a trespasser. No response. When he reached the unit, the light shut off the instant his hand touched the door. And from inside, he heard a whisper. He couldn't make out words, just a low, continuous murmur, like someone speaking just out of earshot. He unlocked the unit and swung the door open. Empty. Completely empty, except for a single old photograph lying in the dust, face down. He turned it over. It showed the exact spot he was standing in, but taken decades earlier. In the photograph, a man stood exactly where James was standing, staring directly at the camera, with an expression that looked less like fear and more like recognition. James checked the facility's old records that night. A worker had gone missing on that property in 1987, last seen near that very row of units. He was never found. 4 guards, 4 locations. Decades apart, states apart, no connection between them on paper. And yet each story shares the same thread. A space marked as empty, a rule nobody could explain, and something that seemed to remember exactly where it used to belong. Maybe that's what a haunting really is. Not a ghost. A memory the world refuses to let go of. So the next time you pass an empty building at night, a locked door, a flickering light that shouldn't be on, remember these 4 men. They didn't go looking for the unexplained. It found them, right where they stood watch. If this story kept you up tonight, imagine living it. Subscribe, because the next case file is even darker.